Welcome back. I'm really excited to share this meal with you. I call it Mary's Marvelous Carbonara. It's a dish I've been eating since I was just a little girl, and we have added to it over the years, but the main ingredients and the taste have stayed the same for the most part. It's still one of my favorite meals to go to when I'm feeling homesick or sad, or I just want to do a little time traveling down memory lane. So, that's pretty much it. It's a family friends recipe, and here are the things you're going to need for it. I also want to add quickly to get a skillet that you can fry your bacon up in, and a pan for your mushrooms and shallots if you choose to use those as well. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to preheat your skillet that you'll cook the bacon in, and just leave it on the burner on medium-low, and then go ahead and start cutting your bacon into tiny pieces. You want to keep in mind that the pieces of meat will shrink as it cooks, and if you don't want crumbs, then don't cut them too small. And there'll be a lot of cutting, so yeah, just keep cutting. Just keep cutting, just keep cutting. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Don't cut yourself. And from there, we're going to put it into our preheated skillet. And at this point, I don't add a ton of spices or really anything, just a little bit of salt, because I'm going to drain the fat like halfway through. Once I've drained the fat, then I'll add a few more spices. And while the bacon is starting to brown, I'm prepping other things off to the side. I'm cutting up the mushrooms that I might be using, or the shallots, prepping the eggs. You can get all of this other information from the recipe on my website as well. The other thing I'm generally cutting up at this point is the parsley, and I try to make 2 handfuls. And yeah, just there we go. I started draining it, and now it's just continuing to brown. And about right here-ish, right when it turns about that color, I tend to throw in some garlic. I'd throw in the whole clove like that. And then I let it roast, and it becomes really, really soft, and I mince it afterwards. And there's only 2 in here, but that's because I use 2 alone in just the bacon. I think I use about 6 total when I make it. And from there, I drained out the rest of the fat that I could, and I'm using a spoon with little slots in it so that any excess can drain as well when I move it to the paper towel. And this is just a paper towel on a plate, and I'm going to pat it down also just to get a lot of that excess fat and grease off. So, while the bacon is browning, while you're cutting up other stuff, you can be warming up your water and getting it ready to boil. And once it is boiling, you can go ahead and throw in your linguine noodles. I like to use this pot because then I don't have to break the noodles to fit. I never break them even if they don't lay flat, but it just takes some maneuvering, and I highly suggest just getting a pot where you can throw the noodles right in. It's quite nice. But we're just gonna let them soften up like noodles do. And while they're cooking, I also have the cream going in the microwave, which might sound kind of weird. I explain it a little more in the recipe on my website, but yeah, I pour the cream into a container like this, something glass that will withstand a lot of heat, because this is going to go in the microwave for about 5 to 6 minutes until it slightly starts to boil. I call it like preheating it. I don't know why, but it makes a difference. Once the noodles have reached al dente, we will take them and strain them in the sink. I like to rinse mine off with a little bit of water. Then we're going to break down our eggs and just mix the yolk and the egg whites together. I did 4 eggs for a whole box of noodles. We're going to take the pan off of that hot burner, and I turned that burner down to low. And then I'm keeping it off because if you do this part while it's still too hot, you're going to get scrambled eggs in your noodles, and it's weird. So try to keep it cool. It's also why I rinse off the noodles with just like lukewarm water, just to get some of that extra starch off of them also. And then you just really want to work those eggs into the noodles, try and evenly coat everything the best you can. You can toss in 2 cloves of minced garlic. And then you'll just set it on the warm burner that you've turned to low. Remember, make sure that it's cooled down. You don't want eggs in your pasta. And then from there, we're going to retrieve the cream carefully out of the microwave, and we're going to mince the last 2 pieces of garlic in our skillet that still has a little bit of the bacon grease in it as well. So we're going to turn the heat up on that skillet to about medium-high, pour the cream in, and bring it to a boil. Once we have it on a rolling boil, we are going to add the noodles in. We're going to put the noodles in, and then we're going to put a handful of parsley and a handful of bacon, and now would also be the time to toss in any mushrooms, onions, any extra things you wanted to try out in this pasta. And we're going to mix it all up really well. It's going to look a little bit soupy at the moment, and that's okay. That's exactly how it should look at this point, so don't freak out. The trick to making it nice and thick is to keep that heat up on high for a few minutes and stir it all around. Then we're going to put on the cover, and we're going to leave it covered on medium low for about 3 to 5 minutes. Not touching it for 3 to 5 minutes. After that, it should have this type of consistency and look to it. We'll give it a couple more stirs, really mix everything up, pick up the cream that's on the bottom of the skillet, mix it to the top, and so forth. You're going to leave it uncovered and turn the burner off at this point. Go ahead and gather your plates and dish it up. And we left some parsley and some bacon out on the side so that you can sprinkle and add a little bit extra to your own dish. I always like adding a little bit extra bacon. I don't know. Who doesn't love bacon, though, really? I do want to say, don't be disheartened if this pasta doesn't turn out exactly right the first time. It took me a few tries to get this. There have been many soupy carbonara nights in my past. It took me some time, but I did finally figure it out for myself, and we've really found a way to cook it that we love. I really need to stick to the script, because when I don't, I just sound like an airhead. But that is Mary's marvelous carbonara. I really hope you guys give it a shot. Let me know if you do. Let me know if there are any questions or if you have any comments down below. And you can get the full recipe at my website, ellisforliving.com. It will be linked down below as well. And I hope you come back and have a great night.